Jackie left everyone stunned when she filed for divorce after years of marriage, surviving countless rumors and public scandals. But this wasn't just any divorce. Jackie asked for an extraordinary $300 million from Doug, her husband. While this alone made headlines, the real drama was about to unfold. Doug wasn't going to sit quietly and let these false accusations ruin his life and career. As soon as the news broke, he started taking action. Doug wasted no time putting together a top-notch legal team, consisting of some of the best divorce lawyers and private investigators, to investigate Jackie's claims. At first, Jackie's story appeared simple: a wife who had suffered emotional and financial damage after years of mistreatment at the hands of her husband. However, Doug suspected there was more to the story than just a desire for money. This wasn't just about his finances, it was about his reputation. Doug had spent years building his name in the business world, and he wasn't about to let false accusations tear it all down. Doug's legal team began digging deep into Jackie's financial records. They found some red flags that raised serious concerns. For one thing, Jackie's spending habits didn't match up with what she was claiming. There were large transfers of money to offshore accounts, and Jackie had been withdrawing significant amounts of cash without any clear reason. Investigators also found that Jackie had business ventures that were generating income, but she hadn't reported them. While Jackie had painted a picture of herself as a financially devastated wife, the data told a very different story. Doug's team was starting to piece together evidence that Jackie's version of events wasn't as truthful as it seemed. As Doug's legal team continued to investigate, Jackie's carefully crafted narrative began to unravel. The numbers didn't add up, and it was becoming clear that she had been hiding something. Doug was ready to act. He knew that Jackie thought she had him cornered, but he had the proof to turn things around. Jackie entered the courtroom on the day of the hearing with a confident smile, thinking she had the media on her side and a solid case to paint Doug as the villain. But Doug wasn't about to let her win so easily. When the court session began, Doug's legal team came prepared. They had stacks of paperwork, including bank statements, tax records, and business documents that would expose Jackie's financial misdeeds. Doug's lawyers didn't waste any time. As they presented the evidence to the judge, Jackie's confident demeanor quickly began to fade. The courtroom grew silent as Doug's lawyer outlined how Jackie had been secretly funneling money into hidden accounts while claiming to be financially struggling. There were records of large wire transfers to offshore banks, investments made under false company names, and even real estate purchases disguised as business expenses. Jackie had been claiming to be poor while secretly making millions through side deals and investments. When the lawyer revealed that Jackie had lied about her income, gasps could be heard from the audience. Jackie had claimed she was struggling, but the financial data showed that she had quietly amassed a small fortune. As the details emerged, the judge's attitude became more serious. What had started as a messy divorce case was now looking more and more like a potential financial fraud investigation. Jackie's lawyer scrambled to respond, but the damage had already been done. Doug's team had uncovered too much, and Jackie's credibility was rapidly crumbling. As the lawyer continued to present evidence, Jackie's once confident posture completely vanished. She was now visibly shaken, and it was clear that she hadn't expected the courtroom to turn against her so quickly. Doug's legal team didn't stop there. They had one more bombshell to drop. Doug had evidence showing that Jackie had been planning the divorce for over a year. Private investigators had uncovered a trail of secret emails, phone records, and financial transactions that proved Jackie had been setting Doug up long before she filed for divorce. She had been preparing her story and manipulating the situation to make herself appear as the innocent victim. But the most shocking revelation came from Melissa, Jackie's own assistant. For years, Melissa had been loyal to Jackie, but when she saw how events unfolded in court, she had a change of heart. Melissa testified that Jackie had asked her to collect dirt on Doug even before the divorce papers were filed. Jackie had instructed Melissa to search through Doug's emails, text messages, and business records for anything that could be used against him. When Melissa couldn't find anything concrete, Jackie had started fabricating stories. Melissa revealed that Jackie had planted rumors in the media about Doug's alleged infidelity and disrespect toward her. She even admitted that Jackie had paid off tabloid journalists to run negative stories about Doug, all in an effort to make him look guilty and win public sympathy. Jackie had carefully orchestrated her narrative, but now the truth was coming to light. The public had initially sided with her, believing that she was the wronged wife, but now the facts were undeniable. Doug wasn't the villain she had portrayed him to be. In fact, Jackie's entire story had been a carefully constructed web of lies and manipulation. Just when things seemed like they couldn't get any worse for Jackie, Doug had one last piece of evidence to present. His lawyer withdrew a final folder of documents. The contents were so devastating that the courtroom fell into stunned silence. Doug's attorney began to go through the papers, revealing emails and phone records that showed Jackie had been feeding sensitive business information to Doug's competitors. Jackie had been secretly passing along contracts, client lists, and even product strategies to rival companies. While she had been pretending to be the devoted wife, she had been actively sabotaging Doug's business behind his back. The judge's expression became grim as he reviewed the evidence. There was no denying it, Jackie had crossed legal boundaries. Her actions weren't just personal betrayal, they were also financial and professional sabotage. Doug's attorney didn't mince words as they explained how Jackie's behavior could lead to serious legal consequences, including criminal charges. The courtroom was in shock. Doug had successfully turned the tables on Jackie, exposing her not only as a manipulative ex-wife but also as someone who had deliberately set out to destroy his business. As the judge looked over the evidence, he made it clear that the case would need to be re-examined. There would be further investigations into possible financial fraud and conspiracy. The judge's words changed everything. What had started as a high-profile celebrity divorce was now turning into a potential criminal case. Jackie's dream of receiving a $300 million payout was slipping away, and she could now face legal charges for corporate espionage and financial fraud. Jackie's reaction was one of pure disbelief. Her attorney sat in silence, knowing that there was no way to recover from the situation. Doug, on the other hand, was calm and collected. As his legal team walked out of the courtroom, Doug held his head high. He had not only defended his wealth but also protected his reputation. While Jackie's carefully constructed narrative had fallen apart, Doug had come out victorious, looking like a man who had regained control of his life. The fallout for Jackie began immediately. As Doug's reputation grew stronger, Jackie's once loyal supporters turned on her. Headlines flooded social media, and major news outlets covered her alleged financial fraud and manipulation. Public sympathy for Jackie evaporated overnight. Her Instagram was flooded with negative comments, with people calling her a liar and a gold digger. Even influencers and celebrities who had supported her remained silent. Several companies that had partnered with Jackie began quietly distancing themselves, canceling her sponsorships in light of the courtroom revelations. Jackie's PR team tried to downplay the situation, but the evidence was too overwhelming. Emails, financial records, and Melissa's testimony were all over the media, and there was no way to spin the story in her favor. Jackie's reputation was in free fall. Even some of her closest friends began avoiding her, unwilling to be associated with the scandal. For Doug, things were looking much brighter. He had not only won the case but also restored his standing in the business world. Some of the companies that had distanced themselves during the divorce rumors were now reaching out to Doug again. His public and commercial reputation was stronger than ever. Doug's comeback story was just beginning to take shape. As for Jackie, her legal troubles were far from over. The evidence of business sabotage and hidden accounts had serious legal implications. She could be facing fines or even jail time if prosecutors chose to pursue the case. And with the public now fully aware of her manipulations, her chances of receiving any financial compensation from Doug were gone. Jackie's future in Hollywood looked uncertain. Brands no longer wanted to be associated with her, and her career as a public figure was all but over. Even some of her closest allies had turned their backs on her. Doug, on the other hand, was moving forward with confidence. His reputation was intact, and his businesses were slowly recovering. As the scandal continued to play out in the media, Doug was already working on rebuilding his empire. Jackie had thought she had Doug trapped, but Doug played the long game. He stayed calm, gathered the evidence, and let the truth speak for itself. Now, the world knew the real story. The truth was out, and Jackie's plan had backfired. Jackie had underestimated Doug's resilience and ability to navigate the complexities of the situation. She had assumed that the public would easily side with her, portraying Doug as the villain in their marriage. But as the courtroom drama unfolded, it was clear that Doug's strategy was far more calculated and effective than anyone had realized. He had spent months quietly preparing for the divorce battle, gathering the necessary evidence, and ensuring that he was ready for whatever Jackie threw his way. His ability to stay composed under pressure, combined with his legal team's thorough investigation, turned the tide in his favor. As Jackie's well-crafted image crumbled in front of the judge, it became increasingly apparent that her actions weren't just personal vendettas, they were a deliberate attempt to ruin Doug professionally and financially. The public had initially been swayed by her emotional portrayal of the distraught wife, but the mounting evidence against her was undeniable. Doug's legal team not only exposed her financial dishonesty but also revealed the extent of her involvement in business sabotage. By feeding sensitive information to Doug's competitors, Jackie had shown a complete lack of integrity, and it was clear she had crossed a line. The emotional toll on Jackie was evident. Her confidence had completely dissipated as the truth was laid bare in court. The shame and embarrassment she felt were written all over her face, and her reputation was forever tarnished. The carefully constructed narrative she had worked so hard to build was completely destroyed, leaving her with nothing but the consequences of her actions. Jackie's life, both professionally and personally, was now in disarray. Doug, however, seemed unshaken by the chaos around him. His focus was on the long-term implications of the case, not just on the immediate divorce. While he had every right to seek retribution for the years of betrayal and manipulation, Doug chose not to engage in public drama. His decision to remain silent, avoid media interviews, and allow the facts to speak for themselves only added to his strength and resilience. He wasn't out for revenge, but rather for clarity and the preservation of his reputation. In a way, Doug had emerged as a victor not only in the courtroom but in life as well. The media and public alike could see the contrast between the calm, composed businessman and the unraveling, desperate figure that was Jackie. For Doug, this was not just about winning the divorce battle, it was about reclaiming his life, his name, and his future.